If you're on social media, you're probably seeing a lot of videos where everyone's like gain financial freedom, travel wherever you feel like, quit your 9 to 5, make money online, and all of these uh, posts or this lifestyle that getting pushed. And it's very interesting, right? Everyone loves it. I love it myself. I saw it, and that's how I decided I want to be an entrepreneur and live on my own terms. While this lifestyle is quite interesting, it also comes with very interesting insights, let's say. So when I started this life, I thought surface level, it's beautiful, it's nice, it's crazy, it's cool. But what's interesting is deep inside, most of the people that are pushing this lifestyle, most of them who are telling to be focused on the money and all the surface level things, cars, fancy things, watches, it's very interesting. Deep down, they're insecure, they're in pain, they feel empty, they feel lonely, they feel pressurized, they feel like they're in survival state no matter how much money they make. And it's interesting because someone like who's in a much more lower tax bracket or earning bracket would be like, hey, that person shouldn't have any problem in their life. They have everything that they truly desire. So why are they upset? How can they be upset? It's not possible. But that's the thing. No one realizes these money and all the surface level things that you gain will not really fulfill you inside unless you learn how to fulfill yourself inside. And then having everything externally will be totally fine. I'm telling you, like, that's okay. It's okay to have these external stuff, but as long as you can find joy within yourself, and that's the most primary thing that you need to focus on, so that whatever you give to yourself is what you can receive from external reality. And so now, um, if you are someone who thinks that lifestyle is what makes you free, trust me, you're just in another shackle. You'll be controlled by external reality, people's validation, your insecurities, and a lot of other bullshit. Now, what does true freedom actually mean? True freedom actually means that you have full control over yourself. I don't mean control over your external reality and the outcomes, but how you can respond to situations when they come forth. So, a truly free person will not start reacting to the external world the way they expect them to react. They will react or respond in a way best suitable for themselves and in the most positive manner that will be suitable for himself or herself and the people around them. So, what we understand from this is if you have full control over your mental state, if you have full control over your emotional state, that means you are free. That means if someone criticizes you, most people go into a state of reactiveness, defense, or explaining themselves or doubting themselves, thinking they have to do something about this person's comment. But a person who's truly confident, who knows his worth or her worth and knows their value in the society and knows what they can offer and is truly in full of love with themselves, is not afraid of people's comments or criticism. Why? Because they're confident about themselves. And that doesn't just mean like confidence in the sky from an ego perspective. They know that whatever someone is going to tell them is just pure noise and it has no real meaning unless they give meaning to it. And so now this is what freedom truly looks like. And so now, if you have all the money, you have all the cars, you have the lifestyle, and having that inner fulfillment, it just makes your life a whole lot more on steroids because everything you truly have in your life becomes so much more well appreciated. You are so much more grateful. You just have an amazing outlook in life, and those things materialistically, it just amplifies your emotions even more, even though you don't need it, because truly feel free people don't need external circumstances to make them feel good. They know that they have to feel good first, and to feel good first you have to go within, and there's a natural way you can tap into things without needing external proof to feel good. What you do is basically practically, this is a very important step. There's steps such as meditation where you are the observer of your thoughts. That means you don't go into any attachment with your thoughts or your feelings or whatever you feel, but you observe it for what it is. That doesn't mean you don't feel it. You still continue to feel it, but you're not emotionally attached to any of this feelings or thoughts. Second, visualization. This is one of the best ways how you can tap into the future state of who you are or who you want to be in this present moment by experiencing those events. So in a way, you are experiencing the external world, and you need a sort of external stimulation, but you're not doing it externally, you're doing it internally. And this is the natural ways or techniques and tools that we've been gifted with, that we need to harness and use to our advantage, so that we can live life in a very interesting experience, right? It's like a simulation, so just enjoy it using these tools. And I'm not saying there won't be problems or any kind of uncomfortable situations. There's definitely going to be uncomfortable situations. As I always say, when you let go of an old identity and tap into a new identity, the mind perceives this as death, or it's just going to send out signals of, oh no, we are doomed. So once you are more aware of these transformations, it becomes a whole lot more easier, which I've done for myself personally multiple times. So I know how it feels and I know how this pattern is, and it's like a process. Once you're aware of the process, you really can't go wrong. So this is what true freedom looks like, my friends. How does one become actually free? And as I mentioned, to be actually free is not to control your external outcomes or situations. That is truly going to drain you, make you feel stressed, and make you hate life. But to be actually in control is, no matter what situation you're put in, emotionally and mentally, you give no headspace or emotional space to any of the outcomes. Let me give you a very drastic and uh, crazy example of you being in a prison cell. Someone who's truly free could be in jail or in a prison cell or in any of the worst outcomes and still find joy in that situation. Because if you truly know how to tap into your inner states, tap into your natural soul frequency or your God frequency, you will know how to regulate yourself and feel happy even in whatever situation you're in, even if it's unfavorable. But I'm not saying that you're not going to feel discomfort when you have to sit in a prison cell. Yes, but if you know how to apply the tools and techniques without going entirely crazy and haywire and losing yourself in the mind and letting your emotions go wild in these kind of unfavorable situations, you will naturally come to your baseline emotionally regulated state and start operating from there. And this usually, you'll start finding unwanted reasons to be happy wherever you are. And as you accept the situation you're in, the unfavorable situation, whatever you're in, you naturally shift that state and shift that world that you're existing in, and reality somehow transforms. As I say, it's an illusion. Reality transforms into an illusion that is matching your inner state. So no situation, according to the law of impermanence, is permanent. Everything is temporary and everything is constantly changing. So you need to understand this. Don't try to grip on to external world forever, because as you change, everything changes around you. And so be open to experience. Even though it's unfavorable, you can see the positive situation in every unfavorable situation, so that you can accept it and transform and transcend whichever environment you're in. So make sure that you're seeing that unfavorable situation you're in as a creation of your own, because everything is a projection out of your own mind. And so there is a reason why you are precisely creating everything around you. What does free will mean, or do we have free will? Now, that's a very interesting question, because most people in the spiritual space is always arguing about it. So let's take a situation where everyone debates the free will concept is, if we had free will, why are there wars? If we have free will, why do we create unfavorable situations? If we have free will, how do we not control the negative thoughts that come in? So that's what I say. We don't have free will in what outcomes are coming out of external reality. We don't have the full control of what can come to us or what we receive. We are like our mind or our body, our instrument is like a receiver and a transmitter. So we have no control over what we receive, but what we transmit is fully into our control. So we could be, as I mentioned, having negative thoughts, and we don't want to think about negative thoughts, but it comes out of the subconscious mind. And I also always say the subconscious mind puts out negative thoughts because this was a thought pattern from an old identity or your old self. So it just goes on loop and it's showing you, hey, listen, you need to break this so you can tap into the new identity. It's not like your subconscious mind is against you. It's just is it's neutral. All of these systems within you are neutral unless you emotionally start giving it meaning and name. Oh, this one is against me, the ego is bad, blah blah blah. So it's all just neutral. It's all trying to help you in every way possible to transcend, as long as you can see it from that perspective. So even if you get negative thoughts, you have the full free will on how you choose to respond or react. And most of the time I say is, don't react, just observe it for what it is so that it can dissolve, and it has no energy being given to it if you don't react. But only when you react, it gets more energy and grows and grows and grows. So if you are trying to create a new identity, the old identity is here, new identity is here. The old identity is like a pattern or subconscious framework that's keeping on going, like it's, automation. This is how the subconscious mind works, so that your mind gets a sense of safety. It's everything is in loop, pattern, thought patterns, actions, everything from how you've created it by repetition. And so when it goes on repetition, you're always going to have now the new identity that you want to transform into. You started observing, meditating, seeing from better perspective, affirmation, visualization. So the subconscious mind will release the old thought patterns on how you were in a survival state, how you were afraid, or you see patterns that are repeating. And when these patterns occur, you get scared that, oh, the new reality or whatever that I want, new identity, is not going to happen. I want to make $100,000, but I have bills to pay and I don't know where to make the money from, and I'm so afraid, and blah blah blah. So you give now reaction towards that pattern subconscious mind from the old identity has released. So what happens is whatever could have been given to the new identity keeps getting put into the old identity again and again. So this continues to grow, and this gives it more power to push out the patterns again and again. But the only way to stop the pattern is to observe it purely without any reaction, and then choosing from that point onwards to direct your attention. That means directing your energy to a reality you wish to create. So it's not about ignoring this, it's about taking it, channeling it to something else. And these are the tools and techniques we can't ignore. This is how we operate reality. This is how we create that connection with reality using our consciousness. So make sure whenever the subconscious patterns start reappearing, you're observing it for what it is. It's not the end. And if you can truly sit with it and without being in a state of urgency to create the new reality so that you can make the $100,000, because urgency is just going to be stating from a lack frequency that you're not really having it, or you're not in full possession of it and you're chasing something external. But as long as you stay in the state of, okay, everything is working out in my favor, I'm abundant, it's okay, this pattern will dissolve by itself, you will start seeing how your perspective and your beliefs and everything starts changing. And at that very moment when things change internally with feelings, emotions, and thoughts, just realize you've broken the pattern, you've entered a new reality, entered a new conscious state. Now just continue. Even though it feels like nothing externally has totally changed, but just accept it and continue going, doing the things that you have to do regardless, because still there's a fragment of your memory stuck to the old identity. Unless you make this repetition so strong and it becomes so smooth and so fluid, the subconscious mind will not be convinced that you are in a new identity. And when you're in a new identity, boom, new reality gets formed. So for example, if I'm a person who's creating content, and if I don't continue to do repetition on this in order to, let's say, ground my frequency of being a mentor who's a content creator, blah blah blah, push, I want to speak on stages, etc., I need to be continuing to do what I can do to the best of my capabilities at this present moment in order to ground the frequency, convince my subconscious mind this is what I love to do and this is who I am and this is what is easy for me. And it only comes through repetition, my friends. Don't expect things, just do one thing instantly and feel like, oh, I convinced my subconscious mind. Unless you can give that much level of conviction in one action, like, this is enough. And usually, if you're not well trained, this through repetition of years and years of practice, you do get better. Maybe you need to do just one action to ground a frequency or ground an identity and materialize it. But if you're someone new to the process, just stay the course. Remember, repetition gets imprinted into your nervous system projects it into external reality, and boom. So if you enjoyed this, comment, like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next episode.